Good morning, ERUUF. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing Joy in the Morning, which is one of the new hymns from our online hymnal Sing Out Love. Please be seated.
Just as you are, without changing a thing. Just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in. Just as you are. Just as you are. Just as you are. Just as you are.
Beloved companions, we arrive in this place where all we have to do is breathe. We don't have to impress or convince or win over. We don't have to know the words. It's okay we didn't read the book or pass that class or carry that title or meet that mark. We don't have to be anything but who we are. Here we rest in essence together.
And to move into this communal rest, we lay down our burdens, our longing, our craving, our unmet need, our error, our regret, our sudden disappointment, our anxiety, our shame, our sheer exhaustion, our bewilderment, our bafflement, our burgeoning terror. All of this we lay down together today.
As we do this, may we be filled instead with presence. May we feel held in the comfort of our community. May we discover new compassion for ourselves and others. May we meet this moment with gentleness, ease, and gratitude.
For this air we breathe together, for these questions we ask together, for the justice we seek together, for the songs we sing together.
Little flame, light the tender kindling of our souls, and soon a roaring blaze shall be of warmth and love and community.
From this little spark, may a fire of passion spread from heart to heart and light our way, sweet Spirit, and light our way.
Good morning. Oh my gosh, you're a little robust this morning. I like it. And welcome to the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, or ERUUF, as we like to say. I'm the Reverend Jim Lewis, Minister of Lifespan Faith Development and Pastoral Care, and whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race, your gender identities, or whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey or in your search for truth, meaning, and liberation, you are welcome here in beloved community. This morning, my distracted mind has to say one thing before we continue. Jay, who's my worship associate this morning, showed up, and in the middle of our first service, I looked down and realized Jay and I are wearing the exact same shoes. Why, I don't know, but it was kind of just hilarious, and so I have to say something about it. Otherwise, I will be distracted for the rest of the service thinking about it. Thank you, Jay. If you are visiting with us and you are tolerating that distraction that I just put out there, I invite you to rise in body or spirit so that we might give you an ERUUF welcome. Any visitors out there? Any visitors who are comfortable getting up, I should say. Oh, yes. So thank you, if you are visiting, for spending some time with us. Thank you, all of you folks who have been here for a while who are spending time with us this Sunday morning. It has been a busy weekend. So I appreciate that you have made some time for us this weekend. If you are watching on the live stream and have access to the chat, I invite you to put your name there and someone will welcome you online. And if you are visiting with us and have children with you today, they're welcome to participate in the RE classes with our children. So just if you are visiting and have children, hopefully you already got a name tag for your child. If not, you might go get one in just a second. But follow folks out after the Time for All Ages. They'll make sure you're taken care of. And I'm just checking. Let me make sure if there's anybody who needs to come in the hallway that we bring them in. Have we brought them in? I see a couple people out there. Okay, good. I'm just checking. Also, if there's anybody who's here who wants to attend our Inquirers class for newcomers and visitors, it's a great way to get to know ERUUF better and/or Unitarian Universalism. That takes place at 10 o'clock in between the services. So sorry to folks who are in the hallway. That's why I was like, let's get them in here. So at 10 o'clock in between services is when we have Inquirers class. So it'd be lovely to see you there. And as people are coming in, if you are in the pews, you might squeeze in a little bit just to make sure we can give these people a little space. There we go, there we go. Great, great. And so now is a good time, if you haven't done so far this morning. I had to do it before first service when my phone beeped. Check your devices, make sure they're in worshipful mode. We love music here. We prefer the music that we've planned rather than extra phone music. We do not judge extra phone music, we prefer the planned music. And we're going to take a deep breath in and let it out. So as many of you know, we have a tradition of giving roses here at ERUUF. We give a rose without thorns when we dedicate our children to symbolize that they are entrusted to our collective care. We give a rose with thorns when we confidently send our high school seniors on their way after they graduate, indicating that hopefully we have prepared them for at least some of the sharp and difficult times life might present them with. We give a rose to new members when they join our congregation as a symbol of entering into covenant. And finally, when a member of our beloved community dies, we offer a rose in remembrance of who they have been among us. And so it is with us today. Karen Wollstonholm died on Monday, October 13th, after a time of illness and being cared for by family and friends. Karen had been a member of ERUUF for 17 years. She was a dedicated member of the Course in Miracles group, which she co-led for the past 5 years. Reverend Jacqueline passed on a message to me about Karen that I'll read for you. And Reverend Jacqueline remembers Karen as one of the first people she met who warmly welcomed her when she first attended ERUUF. And that was just around the same time as when Karen came to study the course. Karen was kind, this is Reverend Jacqueline's words, Karen was kind, funny, curious, and deeply committed to learning and practicing the teachings of the Course on Miracles. I appreciated her presence, and like others, shall miss her greatly. I'm sure that there are those of you who also hold your memories of Karen too. We at ERUUF know that we are changed each time someone new joins us in beloved community, and we are always changed when someone leaves, especially for the very last time. And so this morning, we honor Karen by lighting a candle, in honor of the light that Karen has been in the world and here at ERUUF. And we also float the petals of a rose on water that symbolize the waters of life. Let us join together for a moment of silence. May we hold the memory of Karen dearly and hold all of her beloveds who may grieve in this time. Amen, and blessed be. And we will keep you informed about an upcoming memorial or celebration for Karen. Thank you. I'm excited. Just be careful. Don't want any injuries. Good morning, good morning. I am hoping that some of these people who come up today are actually going to help me tell this story, because a few of them have heard it before. So we'll see. They've heard pieces of it. Good morning. We had a very large, all-ages Halloween party last night. So some of our folks may still be sleepy, but I saw some of you there last night, too. So, yeah, I know there were two of me there last night. It was very confusing. So our story today is not out of a book. And I know at least if you were here last week in 1st through 5th grade, you heard some of this story, so you might know some of it. So this is a story about compassion, which is what we're all thinking about this month. And this is a story about UUs doing a compassionate thing. Compassion. What is compassion? Anybody know what compassion is? Anybody know what compassion is out there? How would we define that? Is it a happy feeling? Is it a sad feeling? Is it complicated? It's a complicated feeling. Yes, because it's like, it's when you, spoiler, I'm going to tell the adults this later. It's when you see somebody who's sad or hurting and you want to support them or do something about that. So, this story takes place in 2016. Who in this room was alive in 2016?
I was born in 2016.
You were born in 2016? Okay. So some of this was before you were here. Some of us, this was after you were here. And this happened in Columbus, Ohio. Anybody been to Columbus, Ohio?
I have.
You have? A few of us. And this was for, oh yeah? So this was for UU General Assembly. Has anybody been to a UU General Assembly? A few of us. General Assembly, now some of you would find General Assembly to be very boring. We make lots of choices about what UUs are going to do soon. So I'll just leave it at that. But something happened. Can you give us that next picture, Siifan? There was a group of people who did not want the UUs to be here. Did any of you see this picture last week? I know at least Benjamin did. There was a group of people who did not want UUs to be there, and they were from this well-known hate group. And they brought a lot of signs to protest this big UU gathering. And some of them had some pretty hateful messages aimed at LGBTQ people. And they yelled at people passing by. Now, the UUs knew about this beforehand and could prepare some things to help try and be compassionate. Remind me, if you were here last week, did the UUs shout mean things at them? No. They did not shout mean things at them. And there's a hint on the screen. What did some of the UUs wear? Like fairy wings or angel wings that were white. You see it in the picture. They're these huge wings that have PVC pipe in them. And they are not like the little fanciful wings. But the purpose was they were blocking the signs from the UUs who were going to GA, some of whom were LGBTQ. And because they wanted to block those hateful messages. And like you said, they did not say hateful things to those protesters. Instead, they sang songs to them. One of them was Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, which some of us learned in RE last month. And they sang at them for like 45 minutes, singing kind songs to them. And then finally, the people with the hateful signs were like, okay, we're going to leave. And they left, and as they left, the UUs chanted at them. What, did they chant something harsh or mean? No, they chanted something kind. They chanted, "We love you." And it's that weird thing about compassion, right? Because the people at the wings are being compassionate to the LGBTQ folks. But also, They didn't need to be mean to the other folks. They chose to be nice. A little bit complicated. But they wanted to help those people out. So, as we come to the end of this tale, if you would go ahead and light our lantern. Is it hard to be kind to people who are being mean to someone else? It can be. It can be, and it's tricky because we also want to make sure we're being kind to the person who somebody is mean to. Like, we want to make sure and hold them as important. But also, can we do that and not be mean to others? It's a tricky equation. It's a tricky thing to do. How many adults in here feel challenged by that sometimes? The adults find that hard. So if that seems big and hard to you, do not worry. It is also hard for a lot of the adults. And with that, we will send you on your way for more religious exploration today. Thank you, Stella.
Sorry, I've been gone for a few weeks. Please turn and greet your neighbor, especially those folks you may not know yet. My apologies.
Good morning, everyone here in the pews and everyone online. I'm Catherine Satterson, and I'm currently serving as the president of the board of directors of the Eno River Fellowship Foundation. The foundation is a nonprofit, separate financial entity that was created by ERUUF members in 1989. And the purpose is to provide for long-term financial support for ERUUF. So our current endowment is over $1.3 billion, and that is the sum of all the contributions over the last 36 years from ERUUF members, direct, legacy gifts that are in people's bequests and wills, and direct distributions from people's retirement funds once they reach 73. The foundation invests those endowment funds in an investment plan outside. Mark Kuhn helps us with that. And a small percentage every year of those investment profits are taken out to, it's about 2 to 3% a year, to make grants to ERUUF. And last March in 2025, the foundation grants were 7 in number, and they were about $29,000. So it might be helpful to think of a little bit of an analogy to understand endowments and interests, and some of those words confuse some folks. And so maybe think about a shrub, maybe your favorite shrub, like a gardenia or a hydrangea. And every year it grows a little bit taller, a little bit wider, it spreads through its roots. Provided it gets the input of sunlight, water, good soil, and we can think of those inputs as the care of our investment advisors and the additional contributions that come in from our members. So each year, hopefully, the shrub will produce flowers, and so we can think of those flowers as that benefit, that extra income each year that we can take out and make grants. And when we think about the flowers, they're that return on investment, and we can harvest them, and the flowers can give us seeds to think about future grants, to plant ideas, test ideas. They can help pollinate new ideas that then, as time goes on, and if the grants are successful, it might become a concept that ERUUF can pick up and begin to fund through operational funds without the need for an additional grant. One example of that is the Faith Forward Initiative grant from a few years ago that became the seeds for the ongoing Inquirers series that happens between services for new members that's been so successful. So I'll leave that shrub analogy for a second. The annual grant proposal ideas are conceived of and they're executed by members working with the staff of ERUUF and with the ministers of ERUUF. And soon we'll be issuing our 2026 call for proposals. It'll be in the newsletter. And the deadline for submitting those grant proposals this year will be January 31st of 2026. And there'll be many opportunities with tabling, et cetera, to talk about ideas. After the service today, we'll have a table in the fellowship hall, and feel free to come by there and ask any questions you may have about the foundation or about grants. And we could probably talk about shrub growth if you'd like to talk about that. So I am very pleased to introduce Wendy Looker, who all of us know as our music director, and she's going to talk with us about the impacts of a recent foundation grant in 2024 for the house band. Thank you.
Good morning. Last Sunday, we experienced the creative artistry of Shauna Tucker in worship. Shauna is our Fall 2025 Artist in Residence, and the Artist in Residence program is one of 2 foundation grants that I manage in my role as music director. The other is the House Band Project, which, like the Artist in Residence program, is well into its 2nd year of funding. Today, you've been enjoying and hopefully singing and clapping along with the ERUUF House Band. Yes. We have Matt Reed on piano, if you wouldn't mind can you stand? Yeah. And Charlton Privadas on bass. And Mia Cardoza on percussion, on drums. Mia is a graduate student studying percussion at the UNC School of the Arts, and both Matt and Charlton are seasoned professional jazz musicians. Funding from the Eno River Fellowship Foundation allows us to incorporate the house band into our worship services approximately once a month during the program year. They have also played for special services like the post-election Vespers, the Pride Vespers, and Kwanzaa. They've collaborated with the Beloved Community Chorus, as you saw today. They've accompanied the Eno River Singers, and you may have seen Brandon Dawson with some awesome backup singers join the house band to sing For What It's Worth back in September. As we move forward with the project, we're beginning to explore how members like Brandon, who are skilled musicians in their own right, might be able to get involved with the band. One of the primary goals of the House Band Project is to explore new ways to experience our hymns. The volunteer cantors and I work closely with the house band on Sunday mornings to find new grooves or harmonies to breathe new life and energy into our congregational singing. I hope you're picking up on the fact that there's more than one right way to sing a hymn. So this spirit of exploration, play, and experimentation is proving to be very useful as we begin to introduce new songs from the online hymnal Sing Out Love. Music can be fun, music can be spiritual, music can be moving, and even sublime. But music that resonates deeply with you may not speak to your neighbor in quite the same way. Musical preference and meaning can vary depending on your lived personal, cultural, and maybe even religious experiences. In order for us to be radically welcoming, the music ministry is committed to programming balanced, diverse styles of music. Great care goes into offering a balanced representation of identities, from composer or songwriter to poet or lyricist to the identities of the musicians on the chancel floor. That balance isn't always perfect, but it's something I'm very mindful of in my work. I want to express my gratitude to the Foundation for recognizing the House Band Project as a vehicle for innovation in worship arts that allows us to expand and deepen the variety of musical styles that enhance our time together in worship. Thank you.
Loss binds us together undeniably, like the aching low moan of a cello. You feel it first, other senses follow. Feel it in that place where the keening cry of a wounded heart begins. In loss, we could be family, in that shared knowing and need. In these chances of rebirth, kindness to each other.
Each week, we hold in our hearts the joys and concerns of this community, be they global, local, or here at ERUUF. This morning, we hold concerns and challenges in the broader world, all those affected by ongoing conflicts across the planet. We hold those who are victims of gun violence. We hold those feeling fear or impacted by government policy. We also hold amongst our community here at ERUUF the family of Karen Wolstenholme in their grief following her death. Her family welcomes cards of care, and we hope to share more information about a memorial or honoring for her soon. We hold Brenda Knox and her family as she recovers from emergency surgery. Cards and text of care are also welcome. And we hold the family of Sue Belowski as they grieve her death, and her family has welcomed ERUUF folks to a reception at the Cedars on Saturday, November 8th from 2:30 to 4:30. Let us now take a breath as we hold these concerns amidst those concerns that remain unspoken. And also, let us take a moment to hold all those joys and possibilities that lay before us in life. One joy that was in our book today, and mind you, this person is currently in the care building, helping out with RE. But Sophie McMillan and Mel Downey Piper wanted to share it is their daughter Logan Downey Piper's 16th birthday. So if you see her later, say hello and happy birthday. And I invite you to bring to mind a joy or possibility that you hold within yourself. Hold it dearly for a moment. Now let us take all of these joys into our heart as we take one more breath together. May we continue to share warmth and kindness throughout these moments on the journey. Amen and blessed be.
Our meditation hymn this morning is May I Be Light which is one of our new hymns from the hymnal Sing Out Love.
Some people say, I let my compassion for others get the best of me. I get taken advantage of. I like to follow Ephesians 4:1 and 2 of the Bible in my senior years. And I quote, I walk in love because God appeals to and begs me to walk worthy of the calling to which I have been called with complete lowliness of mind and meekness with patience, bearing with others and making allowances because I love them. Compassion comes in when we bear with others and make allowances for perceived shortcomings. Rule 100 in Richard Templar's The Rules of Love book is, by helping other people, you help yourself. One thing negative about compassion, and yes, there is the good and bad side of compassion, we can suffer from compassion fatigue. Many of us do social justice work. Unitarian Universalists are known to focus on compassion and justice. Our core principles of Unitarian Universalism include a commitment to theological diversity, inclusivity, and social justice. You'd have to be a Tron robot not to get compassion fatigue as a UU. Symptoms of compassion fatigue are reduced empathy and compassion, leading to emotional exhaustion and burnout. Aha! I am a human being. Practice compassion with ease as a natural part of your life. That is what Nobel Peace Prize winner Toni Morrison believed in her book called A Mercy. A Mercy is a book about an Anglo-Dutch slave trader. The narrative is about the impact of suffering on women as slave servants. Each woman received compassion and gave compassion or mercy to whomever they encountered. In the face of cruelty, the women show subtle acts of compassion and hope for humanity. Morrison is promoting a culture of empathy and kindness. I leave with you this poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson, a Unitarian minister in 1829 turned transcendentalist in 1832. And I quote, "This is my wish for you. Comfort on difficult days, smiles when sadness intrudes, rainbows to follow the clouds, laughter to kiss your lips, sunsets to warm your heart, hugs when spirits sag, beauty for your eyes to see, friendships to brighten your being, faith so that you can believe, confidence for when you doubt, courage to know yourself, patience to accept the truth, and love to complete your life. Ashe, amen, and blessed be."
Sometimes you need to make a note or two as you begin the sermon. There we go. So, speaking with my friend Dana, who's the director of religious education over at UUFR, on the phone the other day, we were talking about compassion. Compassion is one of those words that always feels a little bit tricky to me. It's big, and we use it in many different ways, it feels like. So sometimes I need to kind of bring that down a little bit and be like, wait, what do we mean here? Some of that is about how we use words individually. Some of that is cultural use of words. I think in general, compassion seems like a good thing. So since my friend Dana is also an RE professional, and they've been working about learning about compassion in RE also, she put her daughter Araya, who I think is about 9 now, on the phone to tell me the definition of compassion. And I'm lovingly going to use that definition this morning. Araya tells us that compassion is when you see someone who is sad or hurt and you want to do something about that. So easy enough, our learning for today is done. The sermon is over, and thank you, Araya. I'm not going to go take a nap. No, we do have more sermon for you. But a wonderful starting place. In this time where suffering and threats of suffering abound, that systems that have existed for some time to seem to be decaying or not functional or being eliminated, all of this on top of what are the normal challenges of our lives. What does it look like, in a more practical sense, to practice compassion? I warn you, I will get a little bit heady because I do sometimes. But there is some simplicity in this, really, in the beginning of practicing compassion. And that simplicity, I would say, is in the presence that we can provide to one another, especially in how we approach compassion with the people we personally know. Being present with someone, just being there in their presence, listening, supporting, it does not require that we intellectually know something. It does not require that we are necessarily trained. Training is helpful, but it is not required. It's the first question of wanting to be connected with someone in the midst of their suffering, like Araya references. Joanna Macy, environmental activist and Buddhist scholar, among other rich roles in this world, who died recently, actually, she spoke of this connection in compassion like this. Compassion boils down to not being afraid of the suffering of your world or of yourself. It involves being open to what you're feeling about that suffering, be it grief, fear, rage, overwhelm, and being brave enough to experience it. You can't heal something you're afraid to get near. Compassion is what impels you to act for the sake of the larger whole, or put more accurately, it is the whole acting through you. What resonates deeply with me here is that in order to connect with someone in their suffering, you need to be brave enough to meet your own suffering and have experienced it. This is not always an easy task. I believe that there are ways we are encouraged to escape from our suffering that are embedded in our culture in the United States. So, for example, one way I think of this is like when we have a loved one who dies, if you are lucky enough to have a job that supports this, you may get a few days off to grieve. You might. There are many lines of work, especially if you do not have a larger job or a more well-paying job, where you would get no days to grieve. And also, even if you get those days to grieve, so often in our Western culture, we will spend those days planning an event or having an event where we create a container for other people to grieve rather than the most beloved. And then we go back to work. And the grieving continues for another much longer stage of time, but there's not time afforded to that suffering that a person might experience culturally. Additionally, there's also systemic suffering that often is pushed upon members of our society. This happens in a variety of ways. For instance, healthcare not provided for those who are poor and or being taken away from trans folks. Immigrants and also brown and black folks who are racially profiled and believed to be immigrants, who are afraid they might run afoul of ICE raids. Historic redlining of housing, making it so black folks and many people of color may still struggle to find housing in certain areas. These are just a few of the examples of the suffering that is built in to the cultural experience of many, built in societally, and sometimes in ways that it is possible to avoid. So, to be heady for a moment, but in a beautiful way, what happens if we join our sufferings together? So, writer Ross Gay reflects on something one of his students said in this longer writing, but that was just beautiful to me. He says, "Among the most beautiful things I've ever heard anyone say came from my student Bethany, talking about her pedagogical aspirations or ethos, how she wanted to be as a teacher, and what she wanted her classrooms to be. She said, 'What if we joined our wildernesses together? And what if the wilderness, perhaps the densest wild there is, the densest wild in there, like thickets, bogs, swamps, uncrossable ravines and rivers,' have I made the metaphor clear?" he says, "is our sorrow. It astonishes me sometimes, no, often, how every person I get to know, everyone regardless of everything, by which I mean everything, lives with some profound personal sorrow. Brother addicted, mother murdered, dad died in surgery, rejected by their family, cancer came back, evicted, fetus not okay. Everyone regardless, always of everything, not to mention the existential sorrow we all might be afflicted with, which is that we and what we love will soon be annihilated," which sounds more dramatic than it might. Let me just say dead. Is this sorrow, of which our impending being no more might be the foundation? Is this sorrow the great wilderness? Is sorrow the true wild? And if it is, if we join them, your wild to mine, what's that? For joining two is a kind of annihilation. What if we joined our sorrows, I'm saying, what if that joining of sorrows is joy? I, Reverend Jim, read this and I had to wonder to myself, what would it mean if that is joy? A form of joy, a possibility of deeper connection, of truly seeing each other's vulnerabilities, of coming into relationship. When we connect more deeply, knowing that we are not alone, it's worth considering if perhaps that connection, even in the midst of suffering, can manifest a form of joy. So, returning to practicality, getting it down out of the headier space, emotional space, though. If you are willing to engage the sorrow with someone, if you have opened up your own vulnerability a bit, what do you do? Who here has ever seen suffering and wanted to support someone in that time somehow? Anybody? A few of us? Most of us? Yeah, maybe all of us. Has anyone here, upon realizing that they wanted to support someone in real time, realized that they didn't know how to do that? Anybody? Yeah. How many people were worried about doing it wrong or that they might fail? Okay. Well, I have good news for you today. I'm going to give you the biggest reassuring statement I can about being afraid to fail at compassion, and that biggest reassuring statement is you are absolutely going to fail. You are absolutely going to stick your foot in your mouth, or be late, or not reach out. Don't worry, you are going to fail. Maybe that doesn't feel uplifting to you. I don't know. But truly, truly it is. Because here's the thing, let go of perfection, let go of surety, let go of precision. First of all, embrace humility. Embrace humility. This is where I embrace humility because, gosh, I touched the iPad and it went to a random page. Where'd you go, hon? Where'd you go? There it is. That humility is doubly important, and not just for when you lose your place in your sermon. First of all, like I mentioned before, we all make mistakes. This is why I've heard so many folks ask over the course of life, what is the right thing to say to someone who's struggling? Many of us in this room have been on the other side of well-meaning folks saying things that are intended as helpful in our time of struggle. Some examples might be if someone has died, someone says to you, your loved one is in a better place. Now, this is a fine statement if it agrees with your theology, but it's a pretty rough statement if it doesn't agree with your theology. Or telling someone who is sad not to cry because everything will turn out fine. Indeed, sometimes things do not turn out fine. Or, on a more systemic level, I think back to when I was an elementary school teacher, and it was in an inner city school. Our budget was so low. We had so few businesses contributing to the budget of the school. And the librarian, I was talking with her one day, and she's like, well, another rich school just donated us a bunch of used books. And she's like, I get the desire to be contributing, and also, our kids also need new books. And so here's the thing. All of these situations, I have a lot of love for these people. I got to tell you, because I know that we're all going to fail. And sometimes that failure is the first step to doing it well or figuring it out. And so that's why I have to give a lot of love to the people who go forward and try and do something loving and step in it. Because, I mean, I know I've been there. Everything out of my mouth has not been a gold gem, and I don't think any of us have had every word that comes out of our mouth be a gold gem. So truly, a piece of advice, if you want to be present for someone who's struggling, start out by just being there with them. And being there to be present with them and listen, perhaps affirm. On occasion, you might hear an action that will be helpful, but let the presence be the main goal. And this is also where humility re-enters the picture, because there are so many situations, no matter how much we care, how much we support, how much we share our vulnerability, how smart we are, how experienced we are. There are many situations that one person simply cannot fix. But companionship, shared vulnerability, and all that through deeper listening can be an aspect of creating something deeper than empathy or sympathy. Now, mind you, Jay also mentioned compassion fatigue. Rest is also important. That's a whole other sermon. But it is important to balance that too, because sometimes we need rest from all of this depth. There is a balance. So moving on, what about larger compassion, though, for communities of people or for something that's impacting our larger, perhaps state and countrywide community? Surely nothing like that's going on. What I believe about action in cases of larger compassion, and even sometimes in individual cases, is something that Walter Brueggemann speaks to. He's an Old Testament Christian scholar. And I was reading a couple weeks ago, and he just had this powerful concept of how Jesus interacts with the idea of compassion. And it's this concept that while I would not consider myself Christian, it reminds me of why the figure of Jesus still holds an amazing prophetic possibility for progressive spaces. So, a quote from him. Jesus, in his solidarity with marginal ones, is moved to compassion. Compassion constitutes a radical form of criticism, for it announces that the hurt is to be taken seriously, that the hurt is not to be accepted as normal and natural, but is an abnormal and unacceptable condition for humanness. In the arrangement of lawfulness in Jesus' time, the one unpermitted quality of relation was compassion. Empires are never built or maintained on the basis of compassion. The norms of law or social control are never accommodated to persons, but persons are accommodated to the norms. Otherwise, the norms will collapse, and with them, the whole power arrangement. Thus, the compassion of Jesus is to be understood not simply as a personal emotional reaction, but as a public criticism in which he dares to act upon his concern against the entire numbness of his social context. Empires live by numbness. Empires in their militarism expect numbness about the human cost of war. Corporate economies expect us to not see the cost in terms of poverty and exploitation. Governments and societies of domination go to great lengths to keep the numbness intact. Jesus penetrates the numbness by his compassion, and with his compassion takes the first step by making visible the odd abnormality that has become business as usual. Thus, compassion might be seen simply as generous goodwill, is in fact criticism of the system, forces, and ideologies that produce the hurt. So for me, in this framing, we see Jesus holding vulnerability as important, and also holding empire or governmental systems to account. He is saying the political system is hurting people, and that we must stop treating that as normal. These are messages that I would love to see us applying to our own government. Many of us are. But the holding of vulnerability is what I think takes our actions to a place of deeper spirit. To see those who are struggling, and indeed also those who are struggling with the same pains as us, because indeed often we are struggling together, and to find that togetherness. to find a deeper understanding of what each other needs on the larger scale. This is where the listening and the action meet. Listening, helping us understand, and guiding us to know how we can take action. Listening, meeting with action helps us know if an action can be taken, what that action should be, beyond just what I think will help, beyond my own good intentions, and moving to what the action that might have the most impact could be. It's what I think about sometimes. It's like, sometimes they don't need a person to lead the organization. They need people to do childcare for the person who's leading, for the people who are leading the organization. And again, it's also okay to not know where to plug in. It's okay to not know how to act in compassion when it's larger scale. And this is my brief plug because we've got a couple times that you could show up and we'll help you figure some of that out. So one of them is at 1 o'clock today. I hate to put an adult programs plug in here, but I also want to give you some stuff to chew on. So we've got a couple of sessions about living your values in these times. And a lot of that focus is figuring out, what do you believe about how to be in the world? And how might you meet this moment with those beliefs, those values? So there'll be a conversation about that today at 1 o'clock in the Care Building. And there will be another one on November 2nd. Today's is more focused on environmental justice. The November 2nd is talking about the decay of social systems. And next week at 1 o'clock, Caleb Graves, our justice coordinator, is going to be discussing how do you engage justice if you don't have a lot of time and you're new to it. Because sometimes that's a little nerve-wracking. So these opportunities, like so much work towards justice and against the pains of the world, they're not intended to be downers here, even though they highlight suffering. And I bring this up because what I hope that we can do is, rather than being overwhelmed by just this sadness everywhere, how do we engage compassion with a robustness? How do we robustly feel compassion? How do we energetically feel compassion? And so one framing of it that I think is beautiful is from Buddhist nun Jen Demo, who spoke on compassion from a Buddhist perspective on the Modern Buddhist podcast earlier this year. She says, we often misidentify compassion to be just looking at suffering. But from the Buddhist perspective, that's really just the start of compassion. Because compassion is actually a wish for others to be free from suffering, or a wish to protect them from pain. So I think sometimes when people feel overwhelmed, it's because they're just looking at the suffering. They're just seeing it, but they're not actually taking the next step to think about others' potential freedom from it. And I think if we take that next step, it's a little easier to not feel that compassion is a depressing state of mind, or it's not so overwhelming. So mind you, we don't always have that answers. We may not always tell somebody, hey, I'm thinking about that next step of, oh gosh, I hope you don't have to suffer forever. But to hold that within yourself, to know that you're wishing this person freedom from suffering. We do not need to come at suffering with an expectation of despair. Sometimes despair may be part of the experience. But while being present for the suffering, it's okay to wish for that possible freedom. My hope for our community here at ERUUF is we find space to be present for the suffering of others in community. And indeed, if you need somebody to be present on a Sunday morning, please look for the pastoral care table in the fellowship hall. My hope is that we listen deeply, connecting through our vulnerabilities, meeting that listening with the action in bigger pictures. And when we find times for action and engagement, we live into the most robust compassion we can. Amen and blessed be. It takes many resources as we weave the fabric of beloved community in our congregation. It includes the offering of our time, talent, creativity, imagination, and treasure, all given as we cultivate hearts of generosity toward our mission, our vision, and our work in the world. As the greeters come forward to pass the collection pouches, you may place something in them, or we invite you to point your device at the QR code or in the cards in one of the pew racks, which will take you directly to the online giving portal. If you need assistance with that, check in with the office right after service. And the BCC will now continue with the offertory.
We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Just because you look like you and I look like me doesn't mean we can't be friends. You're not my enemy. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. People all around the world sometimes feel so sad, but when others show they care, well, things don't seem so bad. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Thank you, Reverend Dr. King, for showing us what love can bring. Thank you, Madiba, for lifting up South Africa. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up. Up, up. Hold everybody up.
We give thanks for all the many gifts of beloved community, especially the gift of belonging.
Please rise, embody your spirit, and join us in our closing hymn, Answering the Call of Love. It's number 1014 in your teal hymnal. The lyrics are on the screen. The promise of the Spirit, faithful and abide, and so every soul is blessed and whole. The truth in our hearts is our God. We are answering the call
close today, we return to the words of Joanna Macy. Compassion is what impels you to act for the sake of the larger whole, or put more accurately, it is the whole acting through you. May we go forth, find the whole acting through us in our robust compassion, being present in suffering and loving deeply. Amen, and blessed be. We made it. We're on this side of it.